mad at me for dating outside my race. But I was dating outside of my race because they was doing things better than my race. I'm gonna
Like
keep
what
it
do you
100.
mean?
My
Define
Spanish,
better.
my
Define
Spanish.
better.
Well, not better because I know where she getting ready to go. Not better,
I know you
but
said they were
not
doing
no
things
not
better. I
better,
wanted to
not
know what
better,
better meant.
not better. I'm gonna change
I'm
that.
trying to save you for
I
for
know
the
you is.
people. For
That's
the
She ain't trying to save you for nothing. I can't lie to you. Listen, I don't agree with everything he said, but she definitely wasn't trying to save you, Dr. Spirit. Listen, we gotta talk. 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 Let me tell you why, because I think this has many factors that we need to consider. First and foremost, you know me, I am loyal to my black people, them. You know what I'm saying to you? It's black women only. Okay, all right. I love me a Ghanaian woman too, especially. Okay. But I've spoken about this before that when it comes to men specifically, if you listen to what he actually said, the issue that he's actually having and the reason why he can't contextualize it and really explain it is because he's talking about feelings. See, a lot of men think that it's about actions, but it's not about actions, it's about feelings. It's about how they make you feel. So he goes on to say, and I'm going to play the clip in a second or two, that he feels like a king when he's with other races because of the way that they care about him. What's that? Feelings. We cannot ignore the aspect of how you're being made to feel because that's what is going to drive the action. When you buy a product or a service, you buy it because it made you feel something. And so we are buying through our emotions. So when it comes to women, what he feels about those women again is dependent upon what he has seen and what he has experienced. I don't agree with him. I personally don't think that that the other races are doing things better than the women I've dealt with. But then he has to also be what I believe is accountable. I believe men and women, and I've said this about women, so I'm going to say about the men. You have to be accountable for the kind of women that you keep encountering. Why is it that you keep encountering gold digging, materialistic, self-loving, almost narcissistic type of women? Why is it you? Why do you keep being those kind of people? That's where you need to hold yourself accountable. I've said the same thing about women. When they have bad outcomes, stop looking at everybody else. When every time you keep looking at them as, well, I ain't, and someone will say, listen, I ain't dating black men. You know, you hear some people say that too, right? And or I'm not doing men anymore. And it's like, wait, why are you not doing men anymore? Oh, because you got bad outcomes. But what is your inputs? Right? That's why when they were asking him, when they say better, right? He struggled at first because it's ordinarily a feeling first. Now he's gonna explain what actually happened. So we're gonna break it all the way down. Okay, let's listen a bit more to what he's gonna say. Now I want to be very honest. Dot Spirit, I love Dot Spirit. I think she's amazing, but her way she asks about better, she was not. She knew. That's why he said, "Wait, hold on, it's gonna go somewhere," because he already knows it's gonna go somewhere. Okay.
There you go. Not better.
I know you
What?
said they were
Not
doing
no.
things
Not
better. I
better.
wanted to
Not
know what
better.
better meant.
Not better. I'm gonna change
I'm
that.
trying to save you for
I
for
know
the
you is.
people, for
That's
the
why I'm gonna say
culture.
not better for the culture.
She said trying to save you, but where is she trying to save him? Because the better wasn't part of the saving. I just want to be very frank and real. She wasn't trying to save him. She's already ready to with a response. I don't think she's triggered or anything. I'm just saying that I think she's ready for a response. But there was nothing saving here because if it was, it really would have been a place of where we're really trying to understand where he's coming from and get it. But we weren't. And I'm not trying to even shade her. I'm just being real.
There we go.
Right. Not better. We did. I was dating Puerto Rican. I was dating Dominican. I was dating African. I was dating all type of other races besides American black.
Now, this is very important because he's not talking about black women specifically. And this is why it's very important. He's talking about African American black women, or should I say black American women. So he's actually making it very specific. So he's not talking about black women. So he's saying he's dated African, Dominican, and Puerto Rican. So it's specifically to do with the American culture that he's having a beef with. Although, we can discuss that a little bit later on. Okay.
Right? They were doing way more of what we expect we want our woman to do more than our American. Our American got real comfortable
Give me
with.
some examples.
Oh man, I mean, their mannerisms are different.
I'm going to pause it right here. Now, when men say mannerisms, what they really are actually saying, and I've done a video on this, talked about this, about how men deal with women and how women disrespect men, is very subtle. Things like facial expressions are important, hand gestures, body language, the tone, and the word choices that people use, how they argue, how they deal with when it comes to headship, right? So, like for instance, is a man the lead or not the lead? How do you feel about a man leading you, right? And the warfare that happens between the two people. Those things make big differences for men, especially when they're choosing a partner. Again, I'm going to say it again, outcomes are determined by the inputs. So what have you experienced, right? So he has to still be accountable. I'm not giving him a pass. I'm saying to you, he has to still be accountable, because there's a reason why you keep meeting certain African American women, or sorry, keep meeting certain Black American women. He has to be accountable for the type of woman that he believes he's getting. Why is he getting that type? What is he showing up? How does he market himself that he gets that ordinarily? He may have to do a little bit more work in that space, right?
Like even my Indian one was from Syria, one of them
Sri
countries
Lanka.
over there, right? I didn't have to really say much to do and be treated like a king. You see?
Now, this is really important, because what he's really talking about is that he doesn't have to do much in order to become a king. This is about feelings. Remember, I told you this, that when it comes to men, men are actually feeling driven. Like when it comes to their women, let me give you an example, right? You cook a meal, right? He will appreciate the meal. But you know what he really appreciates? When you cook a meal with a smile on your face. That's what he really appreciates. Right? Because it's about the energy that you're bringing to the table. And if you're pleased, he's now pleased. Men are receiving some validation, their validation from women and how they feel about them. So if I feel that you care about me, I also have a very positive response to that. If I feel that you love me, I have a positive response to that. If I feel that you're treating me, you're doing something for me because you really want to do those things for me, then I have a positive response to that, right? So what he's describing is the feelings that she's eliciting from him, hence why he feels it easier. And here's also another thing that happens: confirmational bias. So, for instance, my background, right? My first two girlfriends were Jamaican, and it's because I was around a lot of Jamaicans, and also because the energy that they had, I had a very similar energy, right? From the people that I had as a stereotypical energy: boisterous, loud, energetic, colorful, vibrant, exuberant, wanting to dance, full of life, vim, right? All those positive traits. So what I was finding out was that I kept on encountering Jamaican women. I just kept on encountering them. I love the culture. I love the music. You know what I'm saying to you? So that was where I was drawn to. I struggled with my own people. I'm Ghanaian. I couldn't get a Ghanaian girl. I've not dated one since. Right? I couldn't get one, but it's because also the way that I was showing up and what the culture of women that were attracted to certain type of males, I wasn't fitting because my energy didn't carry that way. At least the ones that I wanted. So there was something that needed to change in order for that to change. First of all, my own confirmational bias. I had to also acquaint myself with the culture. I wasn't acquainted. I found myself being more British and flexing more into the Caribbean culture. Therefore, I was going to have more encounters with Caribbean women, right? Once I started owning my culture and actually, I need to know more about me being Ghanaian, about my history. Once I started, my whole movement changed. The way I talked, the way I moved, the way I saw life, the way that what I even wanted. And when that changed, and when I finally went to Ghana, I was like, nah, brother, man needs a Ghanaian girl. From then onwards, I couldn't stop having Ghanaian women. And many Nigerians as well. But again, the outputs are determined by the inputs. One has to be accountable to look at what input you're putting in.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of times with our own American Black, they expect so much of us and what we're supposed to do. Like things like if we go out and eat and we just have a nice dinner, we can go anywhere and eat and get a nice dinner. It had to be Rue Chris, or it had to be.
Now let's pause it right here. What he's really talking about, again, once more, I don't agree with him, but I'm interpreting what he's really saying. So when he's saying about obviously not having to do as much, some people are going to hear it as doing the bare minimum. He's not saying that. I want to make it very clear. There are some people who are, but he's not talking about doing the bare minimum. What he's saying is, let's say for instance, just doing an ordinary little dinner. Let's go for an ordinary dinner, nothing crazy or out the spectrum. An ordinary dinner. Her reaction to that dinner is one of being pleased from his experience. He really should talk about from his experience, right? And so because of that, again, it elicits a feeling of being liked, wanted, loved, appreciated, seen, heard, and then he responds positively. Okay, and this is really important because again, when men are dealing with women, these are the things that they actually look out for when they're looking to settle down with. It's the responses by women and how they are appreciative. And I've said this, the 4 A's: appreciation, acknowledgement, affirmations. I always put the fourth one. Yeah, I thought it for one. But let's get the three A's out there, right? Men want those things from women. But again, I'm going to hold them accountable and say, how come is it you got it in the other races, but you haven't got it in your own, and I say races, but you've got it in, you haven't got it in Black American women. How are you showing up that you're encountering the women that are not appreciative of your efforts? Where do you go to get these women? How do you show up?
This, that, or it had to be this, that. Then I get somebody that's just as fine, a Cuban or a Colombian. They don't care about nothing. They care about you and your household, even though they still care about the money, but it's not about the money. You understand what I'm trying?
So what he's saying here is this also, that there's a lack of art of seduction from the women. Okay, the art of seduction is also this aspect of being able to to seduce and retrieve what you want without actually making it look obvious. So let me give you an example. When a man wants to get sex from a woman, he shouldn't say it directly. In some aspects, right? There's a way. If he does say it directly, he has to find a way that is going to not come off crude, so that he can sell what he wants. The woman wants to buy into it, but if she feels like he's being crude, she won't buy in. The same with a woman the same with a man and his money. The man wants to give his money away, but if the woman comes out like a gold digger, then he doesn't want to give the money away. No, she needs to come off like she has to make him feel a certain way so that he can be like, you know what, here's the money. And the way to do that is to make him feel like a king. When he feels like a king when he's around you, he wants to do kingly things. He gives you the money. The way to make that woman want to open the legs, and I'm not trying to be crude or anything, is that you make her feel like a queen. You make her feel like she's wanted, appreciated, even if it's for those particular moments, right? And so to make her feel special, that makes her elicit the response. So everybody wants to be seduced into being able to give. Nobody wants to feel like they're just being taken, because when they feel like that, then it feels like I'm being robbed. So again, going back to what I said about him, I'm going to say it for the fourth time. How is it that he's showing up?
Trying to say it's a difference, not better, but sometimes we get tired of hearing working bags and sushi.
Do you think that's fair?
Now, when you said about the that's where you kind of lost me, because I was like, if you deal with women, they all go and they all complain. What you're talking about is a very more malleable woman, and they are in all races and all ethnicities. My guy, you can find them everywhere. But again, once more, there's that maybe he's changed. Maybe, and here's what I'm gonna say, right? Because I hold a woman accountable when they have bad outcomes. For him, he needs to look at how he shows up within the Black community, within the Black American community. How does he show up? Because, and the showing up is also coming from what pre-existing image he already has. That means that he comes with a certain energy into a space, right? See, I don't deal with toxic women anymore because I'm not toxic anymore, and I don't value toxicity. So if I see toxicity, I move away. I look for people that are intellectuals. So when I'm around people, I'm trying to put myself around people that are intellectuals. So what's the likelihood I'm going to find a calm woman that's going to be intellectual? Very likely, because I carry that energy. I am the ark, and I say that not in a way, but I'm an ark that's carrying what I need to carry. Meaning you are the boat that's carrying the load. So if you don't pay attention, right? If you don't pay attention, you're carrying the load, and then you're carrying it into a space, and people are interacting with what you're carrying. Does that make sense? So I don't know why I say ark, because ark was an interesting analogy. I think because I'm looking at it like the ark was carrying these animals, right, and carrying all of these particular different animals and energies, right, in a particular space. And when it finally landed, it's a bad analogy. I'll edit this. It's a bad analogy. But yes, but yeah, no. So he has to pay attention to what he is bringing to the table. That's a very important piece as well. So I'm gonna leave it there, because I think I'll do a part 2 if you want to see it. But I just think to myself, if you want better outcomes, man or woman, but we're speaking about him specifically, right? If you want better outcomes, you got to really pay attention to how you're showing up, because he's already getting those outcomes with other races, which means the way that he shows up with a mentally, how he shows up with the energy wise, he already probably is calmer. You know what I'm saying to you? And confirmational bias will happen to you where you only meet one Puerto Rican and you're now suddenly saying, well, then maybe all Puerto Ricans are good. So what actually happens is your positive energy leads you into positive outcomes. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. I said we had a talk. We'll talk about it in part 2. I appreciate you guys. Still lots loaded. We'll see you again soon.